Universe. Then the voices came not through the cals, not through sound but straight into their minds. You were warned. The Dominion fleet ceased to exist. The Emperor awaited news of his fleet's inevitable victory. A display screen tracked the 1,000 ships. Then in the blink of an eye, every single icon vanished. Gasps filled the chamber. Warlords, strategists and scientists all stared in horror. No one of them whispered. The Emperor rose slowly, his massive form trembling. Tell me this is a mistake. But there was no mistake. The only thing that remained on the screen was a new transmission, a final message from Thevoid towards final warning. Silence fell over the Dominion. For the first time in its history, they had encountered something stronger than themselves. And they were utterly powerless. Panic spread like wildfire through the Dominion's upper ranks. The fleet was gone, vanished. No wreckage, no survivors. No escape pods. 1,000 warships, the pride of the Empire, had been erased from existence, and now a message hung over their heads like an executioner's bell. Final warning. Emperor Vorn Chal's massive form trembled as he read the words. His warlords and strategists were death-lizzlant, their arrogance shattered. What do we do? One of the ministers finally coked. For the first time in 1,000 years, no one had an answer. They had ruled the galaxy through sheer strength. Their fleets were invincible, their empire touchable, and yet humanity, or whatever force lurked behind them, had rewritten the rules. The Dominion was no longer the apex predator, it was prey. 3 days later, the Emperor did something no Dominion ruler had ever done. He sent a message of surrender, not a declaration of war, not a demand for a negotiation. Just 4 words broadcast into Thevoid: we do not resist. They waited. Hours passed, then days. Every passing moment stretched their paranoia to its breaking point. Had they been too late? Would the next sign from humanity be an aetherizer? Then finally a response, not through a transmission, not through comes butte across every Dominion star system, all at once. Every screen, every console, every display eject the same message appeared as if written directly into the fabric of reality itself. Acknowledged. That was it. No demands, no punishment, just that single chilling word. And with it, the Dominion knew humanity had chosen mercy, or perhaps they simply no longer considered the Dominion worth their attention. The Dominion never recovered. They never sent another fleet beyond their borders, never expanded again. Their once proud empire shrank into itself, crippled by fear. To the outside galaxy, the Dominion was still powerful, still dominant. But those within knew the truth. They were no longer conquerors. They were survivors, and every night, every Dominion citizen, every warlord, every emperor that followed would stare into the dark void of space, knowing that something watched them. Something that had erased 50 ships without a trace. Something that had given them a final warning, and if they ever dared cross that line again, there would be no mercy. Time passed. Years turned into decades. The Dominion, once the most feared power in the galaxy, had become stagnant. Their war fleets, once instruments of terror, now patrolled their own borders. Like caged beasts, expansion had ceased, conquest had ended, fear had reshaped their empire. No one spoke of the humans anymore, not in public, not in private. Their name had become a phantom, whispered in hushed tones, feared but never acknowledged. But fear alone was not enough to keep an empire together. Dissension grew within in the Dominion. Some believed they had surrendered too quickly, that their fear had blinded them. Others believed they had escaped annihilation by sheer luck. And then there were those who whispered something far worse, that humanity had never truly been the enemy. Deep within the Dominion scintillage archives, an encrypted file had remained untouched for decades. Thella's transmission from Admiral Ken's fleet. It had been classified at the highest level, sealed under orders from the Emperor himself. But in times of weakness, secret shave a way of slipping through cracks. A scientist young and ambitious managed Toax the file. She expected sensor data, battle footage, anything that could explain the disappearance. What she found instead was a message not from the humans, not from any known language in the galaxy. It was something else, something older, a voice. Cold, alien and incomprehensible, speaking in a chorus of overlapping echoes. The translations to barely made sense of it, but the meaning was clear enough. The boundary was tested, the line was crossed. The consequence was delivered, and then one last phrase, a warning: they are not your doors to cleanse. The scientist barely had Tomato comprehend what she had read before her access was revoked within hours. She was taken from her home. She was never seen again. The humans had never fought them. They had never built a super weapon, ever deployed some unimaginable attack, never even known what had happened. Something else had intervened, something older than the Dominion, older than humanity, something that watched, and, human it knowingly or not, was under its protection. The Dominion had not been defeated. They had been warned away and across the galaxy in the darkest corners of space, where no empire dared expand. Something stirred once more, because the boundary had been tested, and next time the consequence might not be mercy. The Galactic Dominion had waged unending wars, yet this one felt unlike any before. For the first time in a millennium, a species had dared to defy. The Dominion had broken empires, subjugated hundreds of worlds, and erased entire civilizations with sheer might. Their war fleets numbered in the millions, their technology centuries beyond most rivals. No resistance ever lasted long. But then came humanity. When Dominion scouts reached the borders of human space, they delivered the familiar ultimatum: submit and serve, or be destroyed. Nearly every race faced with such power surrendered without hesitation. The humans did not. Their answer was unusual: no frantic bargaining, no pleas for clemency, only a single transmission: acknowledged. That was all. No threats, no pleading, only recognition. The Dominion's War Council laughed at the audacity. Another primitive species, too arrogant to know its place. The invasion fleet, 50,000 strong, advanced expecting swift conquest. The first human colony fell within hours, its defenses little more than railguns and nuclear fire, pitiful against Dominion might. Yet the Second World resisted longer. Hours became days. Human weapons struck harder than they should have. By the time the fleet reached Earth itself, they anticipated a shattered people clinging to survival. Instead, they found Earth prepared. Then came a single ship. At first, the Dominion assumed it was an error, a lone vessel drifting toward the heart of their armada, its energy readings negligible beside their dreadnoughts. Admiral Zrael studied the tactical display with amusement. They think one ship will save them? Officers chuckled. Tens of thousands of Dominion warships against a human speck. But the speck moved. It ignored formation tactics, made no evasions, and issued no demands. It surged directly for the Dominion flagship. They dismissed it as a crude ramming attempt, desperate, primitive, until the flagship shields flickered, systems going dark. Then the real horror began. The vessel wasn't firing weapons, it was the weapon. Admiral Zrael barely had time to respond before the fleet's comm channels erupted with screams. Something unnatural was happening. Entire ships went silent. Crews weren't dying, they were vanishing. No escape pods, no final transmissions, just gone. And the human craft didn't slow. It carved through the formation like a blade through living flesh. The Dominion had sent 50,000 warships. Within minutes there was only silence. One last transmission pulsed from the human ship before it vanished from every sensor. Acknowledged. That was it. The war was over. Panic swept the Dominion's high command. 50,000 ships gone, not lost in a heroic last stand. Not obliterated in a mutual strike, simply erased. Sensors showed no wreckage, no debris fields. Just a cold, empty void where an entire fleet had once stood. The news ignited across the stars like wildfire. The Empire, billions strong, conditioned to believe in the Dominion's eternal supremacy, whispered in fear. Military strategists and scientists pored over the data endlessly, yet no answer emerged. Admiral Zrael was gone, along with his entire command. No escape pods, no distress calls, only silence. The lone human vessel had vanished after its last transmission. Acknowledged. The Dominion had endured resistance before, but nothing like this. This wasn't defeat, it was erasure. And the worst part, they had no idea how the humans had done it. Emperor Viorin Cha stood within the colossal throne hall of the capital world, his massive frame radiating unease. Advisors muttered in strained tones, desperate to find reason in the madness. "We must retaliate at once," a warlord snarled. "Send everything, burn their worlds to ash." "Fool," hissed a strategist. "You'd send another fleet when we don't even know what befell the first? They didn't battle our forces. They unmade them." The chamber fell into heavy silence. That was the horror. The Dominion's fleets were built to endure wars of attrition. They could lose millions and still crush their foes by sheer weight of numbers. But here, there were no losses, no bodies, just nothing. The Emperor's gaze cut to his chief intelligence officer, a lean, calculating figure with piercing golden eyes. "Do we know what that ship was?" he asked. The officer hesitated before answering. "Not entirely, my lord, but we intercepted." Something flickered across the chamber, a feed from a Dominion scout vessel, one that had lingered too far from the main fleet to share its fate. The screen revealed the human craft, a sleek, unremarkable shape when compared to the Dominion's towering dreadnoughts. Yet it moved with eerie precision. As it carved through the armada, the recording shifted, space itself rippled. For a heartbeat, reality bent unnaturally around the vessel, and then the Dominion ship simply ceased to exist. No fire, no wreckage, just absence. The officer's voice was strained. Whatever technology they wielded, it was not conventional. No energy spikes, no weapon signatures. It was as though they bypassed physics itself. A tremor of unease passed through the gathered warlords and strategists. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "And the vessel? Where is it now?" The answer came after a long silence. "Gone, my lord, no trace." For the first time in Dominion history, fear crept into the Emperor's tone. "Find the humans," he commanded. "Learn what they are, and for the love of the stars, do not provoke them again." But the order came too late. Even as the Dominion debated, another signal spread across their empire, a lone human transmission, repeating endlessly on every channel. The transmission carried only two words: "Still watching." Panic spread like infection through the Dominion. Entire fleets were recalled from distant systems, warships reinforced, research stations driven to exhaustion as they tore apart the data. Yet no explanation emerged. 50,000 vessels had vanished without a trace, and now the humans were watching. For the first time in a millennium of rule, the Dominion knew fear. On Zyros 9, their most secure research world, the Empire's greatest minds gathered to dissect the mystery of the human craft. Every sensor log, every intercepted signal, every theory was pored over. One certainty formed: the vessel had not used weapons in any recognizable sense. No blasts, no impacts, no detectable emissions. Only the strange distortion caught in the scout's recording. "That wasn't a weapon," whispered Dr. Coulter, his tendrils curling as he stared at the frozen frame. "It was something deeper, more fundamental." "Explain," snapped General Voron, looming behind him. Coulter hesitated, voice low. "Our ships did not explode. They did not break apart. They ceased to exist, as if reality itself was rewritten to remove them." A strategist scoffed. "Impossible. That defies every law of physics." Coulter turned, eyes shadowed. "Then perhaps we must accept this: humans follow laws we do not." The single word carved a chill through the chamber. For ages, the Dominion had believed itself the apex of intelligence, the unquestioned masters of the galaxy. But what if the humans were not merely another young race? What if they were something else entirely? While scientists clawed for answers, the intelligence network turned to a more urgent task: finding the humans' true origin. Earth was already cataloged as a Category 3 world advanced, but far from galactic tier. Their technology fell leagues behind Dominion standards. They possessed no record of superweapons, no ships that bent reality. So where had that vessel come from? Agents scoured hidden relays, cracked transmissions, infiltrated human networks, yet found nothing. No whispers of a prototype warship, no evidence of forbidden weapons, no signs humanity even realized what had occurred. Their media spoke of politics, their armies held normal posts, their civilians lived in unknowing peace. It was as if the humans themselves were oblivious. But if not them, then who? As the Dominion wrestled with dread, another message came. This time from a fixed point, the rim of Dominion space. Its words were blunt. One ship was enough. Do not make us send another. Attached were coordinates. A dare, a test of pride. The Emperor faltered, torn between his warlord's cries for vengeance and his strategist's pleas for restraint. At last, he chose. A fleet small by Dominion standards, a mere 1,000 vessels would respond. A show of strength, a demand for answers. They departed within the hour, racing through warp to the edge of mapped space. Every officer and crew knew they entered the unknown. None knew they would never return. At the designated point lay only the abyss. No stars, no colonies, no stations. Nothing but the void. A trap, but whose? Admiral Jarth Kren, commander of the 1,000, studied his display. No ships. No anomalies. Nothing. Yet unease coiled in his chest. Spying one ship was enough. Do not make you ascend another, the words echoed. In his mind, Head dismissed them as psychological warfare. Now as the silence stretched before him, he wasn't so sure. Full scan, he ordered. If the humans think we'll be scared off by empty space, they're mistaken. His officers complied. These sensors swept the void, combing through every wavelength, every anomaly. Nothing. No cloaked ships, no hidden beacons, Namens, no drones. No gravitational disturbance. Then the lights flickered. Admiral Kren turned sharply. What was that? The comms officer checked his instruments. Minor power fluctuations, sir. No cause detected. Kren didn't like that. The Dominion's warships were built to perfection. Malfunctions didn't just happen. Confirm all systems arrestable. The officer's mandibles clicked nervously as he ran the diagnostics bore. He could answer. A second fluctuation rocked the ship. This time it spread, affecting multiple vessels. A cold dread settled in Kren's gut. Something was here, something unseen, and then the screaming started. See.